Hey everyone, welcome to Nudger's podcast. I'm your host, I'm Nudger, and this is episode 2 of, well, it's just going to go on and on from here on out. So, welcome, thank you for clicking. I hope you're going to enjoy what I've got to talk about. Now, I thought what I would do, because this is still only the second one, technically it could be the first one, but the first one was me just like a trailer, just letting you know what's going to be upcoming within the podcast. So the next video, I'll be having a gentleman here that deals with car insurance. So he will be giving very helpful tips and ways of dealing when you're phoning up. So from how to deal with customer service, basically, how to deal with the car insurance customer service. So the whole way that works, that's going to be on the next podcast. But as for this one, I thought I'd just keep telling you a little bit more about myself, so we get to know each other a little bit more. I hope that's okay with you guys. I've had quite a few jobs in my life, and I'll tell you, one of the most fun places I think I've ever worked was at the theatre, without a doubt. And working there was it was fun. I think that's the best way I can put it. It was fun. And the people that I met, I met quite a few celebrities whilst I was working there, and they was nice people. And sadly, some of them are no longer with us. They've passed away. But when they was there, they was laugh, they was a joke, they enjoyed having a good time. I worked on some pantomimes as well as some other shows that went on to the West End and even Broadway. So I did stage crew for those, and I worked on what they call the fly floor. Now, with the fly floor, the way that works is when you're looking at the stage from the crowd. So if you're sitting in the audience, you're looking at the stage, then you've got sceneries that are above your eye level. You won't be able to see them, the drop-ins. And they're attached to bars that was attached by ropes to like a cleat, almost like what's on a ship. So, and you pull them, you tie them off, and then what would happen is you'd have a headset, just like what I've got on here, and there would be a person who's sitting elsewhere off stage, and he would be controlling everything. He'd be controlling the spotlights, he'd be controlling if any scenery had to be shifted on or off stage. And every time that would happen, like obviously he would tell you, like within 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, drop. So you don't do it, slowly lower it in for the next scene. Once that's done, pull it out. But you couldn't pull it out too quick. You couldn't drop it in too quick. It had to be done gradually. So I remember working once, and I was working on a pantomime. And for those of you who are watching or listening to this who are in America, maybe, pantomime is what we do, like the English do over here, round about normally Christmas time. It's always for the kids, and it's always a fairy tale that has been made for stage. And normally they can get a celebrity to play certain parts. So you always have the pantomime dame, which is, as is way of putting this, it's a man that will dress up as the woman, like the bad guy, you know, like the bad woman. Or so with Cinderella, it's the evil stepmother that will normally be played by a pantomime dame. So you get the idea of it, and it's always with the kids that are always in the audience. And you might have heard the classic saying, "He's behind you." "Oh, no, he isn't." And the crowd go back, "Oh, yes, he is." "Oh, no, he isn't." And it's like that. And then when he turns around, like something will happen. So it's all good fun. But I remember working on one in particular, and the pantomime was Pinocchio. Now, this wasn't the Disney Pinocchio. So this was supposed to be the original version where Pinocchio was created from a branch from a huge tree called Mama Oak. And Geppetto takes a branch and he carves out Pinocchio, or Pinocchio, some people call him. And the story's pretty much the same. He comes to life and he wishes to be a real boy. He gets tricked by the fox and the cat, and he ends up going to Pleasure Island and becoming a donkey. So yeah, so the story is similar, but at the same time it's still rather dark, the original. So that's the same with a lot of Disney stories that are actually rather dark in real life, like the books. So a lot of Disney stories are adaptations from different books. So when they're made into cartoons, they're lovable because they're for children. But obviously, when you do it on pantomimes, they are a little darker, but at the same time, it's a comedy darker. So you've got to think again. You're still your audience is children, because you'd have schools coming in, like classes from schools coming in and watching. And because of the time of year here in England when the pantomimes are on, which is normally from about mid-November through to the end of January, you're guaranteed there are some of the kids in the audience that have colds. They have sniffles, they have a cough. So you're going to catch it because you're in this auditorium and the germs are just everywhere. Where's the germs going to go? They're going to come towards you. The kids are sniffing, they're coughing, sneezing. So you're going to catch it. I got a sore throat, if I remember rightly. So that made it interesting to try and communicate with the guy who's in charge of all of the effects that are going on, you know. So yeah, that was interesting. But in one occasion, I swear I could not believe it. This was happening. I'm standing, and I wasn't on the fly floor for this one. I was actually, I was on stage. I was just off stage, so I was hidden by like a black. I can't remember the name of it. Like a blackout, basically, as they call it. And it was just hiding me. And what I had was I had a lever that was locked off. And then when I got the cue, I'd have to take the lock off and then slowly crank this winch, which was connected by a cable to Mama Oak. And on this occasion, I felt so sorry for the poor actress who played Mama Oak. She was scared of heights anyway. And she's having to stand on this platform that we built, which was the tree. She's got her dress and her outfit was fantastic. You know, like her gloves were branches and it all came out of her fingers. Her headdress was the massive top of the tree. She really looked spectacular. And she had to get up on like a step ladder to get on this platform. Yeah, and all we could do was it was like a seat belt just around her waist that was connected to the back, just like on a chair. So imagine that, except you're standing up and you're 6 foot up. And as you're going, it's rocking. So, and you're thinking, oh God, I can only imagine she must have thought on a couple of occasions, if this tips forward, there's nothing she could do. She couldn't jump off because she was connected by the belt. She would have gone face first. But thank God and touch wood, it did not happen. But I'll never forget, unfortunately, she would literally, she couldn't close her hands to do that because of the gloves that she had on, like, and all the branches and everything. And so all she could do was that to try and calm herself down before her cue. And then I had to slowly release her coming down stage. Yeah, so if someone's on stage and they're coming towards you in the theatre, that's coming down stage. And then when they're going the opposite way, they're going up stage. Okay? So, and to look at it, I was upstage left. So I was at the top, in the left, out of the way, behind this blackout screen. And all you could hear when I released the brake is me cranking it, but all you could hear was as this tree was moving along like that. And all we could hear on the headset is the guy that's giving the cues falling off his chair laughing because no one expected that squeak. It wasn't like it the night before. I think what must have happened is the metal cable that was attached from this winch all the way round to the tree of Mama Oak, the bottom of it, somehow it must have got cold or something. But the noise was just, oh my God, we're just all cracking up laughing. The kids in the audience couldn't stop laughing. Poor Mama Oak is up on top trying not to laugh and at the same time trying not to show how scared she is from being up so high as she's looking down for her part in this. And I think she had to come on stage 3 times on this, and then she had to quickly dart off stage, do a quick costume change, and then she came in as another character throughout the pantomime. And then what would happen later on is there's one stage where Pinocchio and his friends are in this, it's supposed to be, what was it called? Like a roller coaster kind of thing. No, was it a roller coaster? I want to say like a scary ride, basically. Because we'd have skeletons falling down and you know, all that type of thing to try and scare it. And there's one scene where Pinocchio bursts into song. And as he bursts into song, he stands up. But unfortunately, on this occasion, I don't know why, but as poor Pinocchio stood up, all we've heard is his head bang right on top. Now this car, it was like, imagine the car like the Flintstones that came over, but it was made of plywood, so it wasn't very thick, but it was still sturdy enough. And as he's hit, bang, we're like, oh, all I've heard on the cans, the headset, is, fuck, he's knocked himself out mid-song. A few of us are like, what? I've got a dark sense of humour. I crack up laughing. So I'm laughing. I can hear about 3 other people, including the woman that's doing the spotlight, or the follow spot, they call it, cracking up laughing. So the follow spot is bouncing. You can see it bouncing from where they're holding it and laughing. I couldn't believe it. And then once that scene was over, we've had to get him off stage, check that he's okay, and he had a big bump on his head. And we're like, what are we going to do? Are we going to stop? Are we going to carry on? So, I mean, obviously the decision wasn't down to me. It was down to the stage manager, the head of stage. So, and the director, they came together like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We ain't got long for the next scene. And unfortunately, like the actor playing Pinocchio, he's like, oh, I really don't feel good. And they're like, we've got to... And then they came up with a bright idea, his understudy. The only trouble is, his understudy is currently on stage playing a soldier. So, yeah, how they thought, right, how are we going to do this? So this was, could you just picture being there for this, right? So soon as the understudy has come off, they have literally said to him, strip. And he's like, what? So they've literally had to throw the Pinocchio costume on him. He's like, because his mind is for his normal part, as well as being the understudy, but, and he went out and they had to switch it, and he went out, and I think all he had to do was the last 20 minutes of the pantomime. So for him, like it was lucky that all he had to do, I think, was one song and a bit of dialogue. Oh, I'm a real boy, I'm a real boy. So the pantomime ended well, but lucky enough, the guy that played Pinocchio, he was fine. He was fine. He went to the hospital. He did not have a concussion, which was really nice to hear. And he came back. I think he took 2 days off. So just to get over it. And then he came back and he was absolutely fine. But at that point, it was the minute, as you can imagine, from that point onwards, 2 days later, any time he was in that car at that scene where it's supposed to be going through the ghost house, we're on tenterhooks because we're thinking, oh no, he ain't going to do it again, is he? He ain't going to do it again, is he? And thank God that he didn't. It went off without a hitch. So that's one of the stories from when I worked in a theatre. That was that was 2001. So we're looking 24 years ago now. So it was a very good time to work at the theatre. It really was. And then after that, once that ended, I actually went travelling. I went to Australia for 3 months. And I had a really good time over there because I had family that had just recently emigrated. So I popped over to discover Australia. It was like, whoa, absolutely fantastic. I loved it. And since then, I've been back 4 times. So I really do like Australia. And every time I go back, it's normally around about the December mark. So I'll go there. I've been there for Christmas and New Year's. And there's nothing more weirder than Christmas Day not having a roast dinner because it's too hot. You got to think, in Australia, in December is their summer. So you're looking 36, 38 degree weather, if not hotter, depending on what part of Australia you go to. So you really don't want a roast dinner in that heat. And the Australian houses as well, they're designed to keep the heat out, not the heat in. So when it's their winter and it gets cold, they get cold. Their fuel bills go through the roof because they're just not, what's the word for it, insulated to keep the heat in. They're designed to keep the heat out. So that's always fun. That's always fun, knowing that at 3 o'clock in the morning it can still be 32 degrees. That was actually really good. So I enjoyed that. And I've worked in so many other places. I've worked in a lot of different warehouses where I've met a lot of interesting people, salt of the earth people, as the saying goes. And I've just really enjoyed it. Since my very first job was when I was 15. And I got a job unloading batteries, that go in everything, like a mouse, keyboard, like AA, AAA batteries, blister batteries, you name it, any type of battery. I had to unload, like there was boxes of them, and I had to unload them off of a container, out of a 40-foot container. I'd have to do 2 a day. And when I was 15, that was my first job. I didn't earn a lot of money doing it, but it was fun. I got to know a lot of people, and I wouldn't have changed that for the world. But it also put me along the lines of doing warehouse work, and up until I worked at the theatre, warehouse was mostly what I did, and it's not a good way of doing it. I'm not putting anyone down that works in a warehouse even now, but you put in your back. My back is completely knackered For those of you in America, you don't know what that word means. My back is screwed because of working in a warehouse, bending down, picking up boxes, bending down, picking up boxes all day long. You do end up with a bad back from that. I've got bad sciatica in my back, and I've had it for quite a long while. So I've worked there for quite warehouses until that was in 2001. The following year, I started another part of my life, which was working for an events company. And I'm not going to mention anything about that on this podcast because I think I have got over 20 years worth of stories from this event company that I'd like to share with you, but not today. I'm going to save that for another podcast later on. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed just my little trip down memory lane. If you did, make sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button for me, please, because I really want to start getting this channel up and running. I want to get it going, and I want to be able to hit 1,000 subscribers pretty quickly, so I can, honestly, I'll be honest, I want to start getting monetized. And the only way of doing that is by you beautiful people clicking on this, giving it a like as well, and getting me there. But also, if you want, you can do me a huge favour, guys. I mean, really huge. What you can do is head over on YouTube to my other channel. There we go. Nudge's Reaction channel. And if you can, I have got so many different reactions on it to different music. And there's shorts on there if you want to have a look at some short videos that I created. If you just want to go into the playlists, kabadum. So you go into the playlists, I've got plenty of different bands that I've done in there. Head over, like I said, hit the subscribe button on there as well. You'd be doing me a huge favour there. I'd really appreciate it. That's if you're watching on Spotify or any of the other social media sites. Head over to YouTube and type in the search column at the top, @Space Nudger. If you type that in, it'll bring you to Nudge's Reaction channel, and you can't miss it. My name is the Neon Lights, Neon Circle. So you see that, you got my channel. You see that, you've got my podcast channel as well. So I hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to tune in on the next podcast. Like I said, if you've got any things about car insurance, guys, this is for anyone that's watching or listening in the UK. My friend tomorrow will be here, and he will be answering, well, he'll be letting you know the best way to deal with the customer services with your car insurance company. He works for one himself. He deals with customers all day long. He's dealt with them on the phone. I was living with him during the pandemic, and he was working from home. I heard all the stories. So he's got a tale or two to tell himself. So make sure you tune in for that one. As well as that, there will be ancient civilizations and what's the word for it? Astrology, stuff like that going on Monday with another friend of mine. That would be with Mark. And we'll see how we go from there. But it's going to be slowly. I don't put out any videos over the weekend, guys. I'm going to be doing 3, maybe 4 a week. So we'll see how we go. So thank you so much for watching or listening. If you're on Spotify or any of the other social networks, thank you very much. And I'll catch yous on the next podcast. Make sure you take care of yourself, and yeah,